Seconds restart. All right, welcome back to Hard at Work Roll Call. This is the playoff edition. I don't know why my screen is fucking doing what it's doing. All right, so we're back. It's been a while, probably well over 9 weeks of game.
It's only been like a week. We've only been gone like a week. I don't know what you're talking about.
I know we're around chat box frequently, so I wouldn't say we've been gone. It's just you haven't seen our beautiful faces. And unfortunately, the ugly one of the crew, he's not around today.
Oh, boy, have I been around the chat box and the PMs. Have I been around the PMs?
Since we've been on air, we're actually joined by a new NFC commissioner now, Brenton, who's our co-host for the day. So I know you've been busy since the whole fallout. I think our last show you weren't here, and me and Danny brought in Keller on his last day as commissioner. So now we're under new ruling of Freak Skull and Husker and Brenton. So how's it feel being commissioner now, co-commissioner?
Some days it's cool, and other days it's really not. I won't lie to you and tell you that it's a glamorous position. It sucks really bad sometimes. Sometimes I just want to tell everybody to go fuck themselves, but you gotta manage everybody. Everybody's got different personalities, and everybody has things. And I gotta say one thing: I never realized how much work it is until you're actually doing it. So I have no idea how Keller didn't go fucking insane like before the end of last cycle. I'm surprised he made it with his sanity as long as he did, because some days they're better than others. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, running anything, it's a lot of management that people don't see. I've ran GTA crews, and I can only imagine the difference in the two between NFL and GTA. But, man, I know just from what I've heard and seen and running NCAA leagues over the years that it's a lot of work, and running 32 guys and keeping it full, keeping it happy. That's hard to do. So big props to the 3 guys on the commissioner team now.
I think the biggest thing that I just want to put out there while we're on this subject is, like, I know anybody who happens to be watching this, like, I know that we're not doing the best job that everyone wants us to do. Like, we're not perfect, but I can assure you that all 3 of us are doing the best that we possibly can. So I really just want to thank everybody for sticking it out with us through the whole transition. I mean, I really think things are sort of steered in the right direction for the time being. I just want to thank everybody for sticking it out through the rocky shit we had to go through.
Yeah, big props to all the guys that have stuck it out. I think we are still a 32-man league right now. I don't think there's any openings.
We are full, and I haven't gotten to it, but we got Z-Car. I guess he's finally getting his copy of Madden or whatever happened to him earlier in the cycle, and he wants to be added to the wait list. So we'll actually have another waitlister ready to go as well. So
big time, and season 1's coming to an end. It looks like the playoff pictures have wrapped up. We have 12 teams ready to battle it out for Hard at Work season 1 of the Madden 16 cycle, ready for the Super Bowl. Why don't you go ahead and start off with the NFC final standings of the playoff 6, and break it from there.
Not sure that it's final because the Cardinals still have to play, which could make the spot between them and the Niners flux between 4 and 6. So I think if the Cardinals win, wasn't that we talked about? The Cardinals win, they hold down that 4 spot. If they lose, I believe Niners win that head-to-head due to the tiebreaker 4 rule or whatever it is.
From what I'm looking at right now, the Niners will lose as long as Arizona wins. Arizona controls their own destiny at the 4th seed.
Yeah.
But Green Bay does not have the conference record, so Green Bay will lose to either San Fran or Arizona on the 3 and 4 seed.
Okay, so basically the 3, 4, and 6 seed are still up in the air, but 1, 2, and 5 are pretty concrete is what we're getting at. Honestly, no one's surprised the Falcons coming in at the 1 seed. They're 14-1. They got 1 game to play, but it doesn't matter. The closest one to them is me at 12 wins. win or lose. I mean, even if I won, the closest I can get is 13 wins, so nobody's taking that from the Falcons. Of course, I locked down the 2 seed by beating the Packers, which was the huge part of it. And so there's nobody that can get the record to beat me at this point. Coach was the closest at 11-5. So win or lose my last game, I've got the 2 seed locked down. Like we were just talking about, Green Bay, the Cardinals, and the 49ers are duking it out for their respective places in line. And, of course, Tampa Bay coming in at the 5 seed. 2 NFC South teams, 2 NFC West teams. I mean, getting a pretty good picture of what things are going to be like, I think, for the cycle from the NFC. I do want to mention the Eagles, the Panthers, and the Rams were all jam-packed in there real close to getting playoff spots. So I think the NFC has a lot of I think there's a lot of talent in the NFC. I don't think you'll see the same teams every cycle. I really don't.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. The AFC has the bigger win record. We'll get to that in just a second. But I think every year the NFC is going to be a struggle to make, we're going to see week 17 battles. Week 17 this year's already wrapped up as far as playoff picture-wise. But that's due to a few issues on the front end. But I think every season will come down to the last 3 weeks for, I guarantee it, at least 5 teams. And so far, it's really come down to at least 3 teams this year before we got to week 17.
Yeah.
I know Arizona, San Fran, Philadelphia, Carolina, St. Louis, they were all right there until week 16, week 15-ish. So,
which was incredibly exciting to watch because early in the season, a lot of people thought, it's going to be the same old. And I really think Ryan did a good job making some good trades and getting the Rams in a position to be something. The only thing that, maybe he regrets now might be the Peyton Manning trade because, he might retire. But, and honestly, you did a good job righting the ship with the Eagles. But, like I said, just the playoffs for the NFC, they're going to be tight every year, I think.
Yeah, getting over to we've got Oakland, who is a number one. I'm getting feedback.
Yeah, you're cutting in and out.
Hold on, just a sec.
We should have made commercials. Then that way when we have these problems, we can just go to commercial.
Nope. Still getting feedback.
Yep. Still cutting in and out. Oh, goodness.
All right. Nope. What about now? Nope. If you want to the AFC list.
All right. Well, Ibo is currently fixing his issues. We're going to go over to the AFC. And the AFC is where things get, this year there's a pretty good amount of drama going on in the, AFC East with the Dolphins and the Patriots coming down to the last game. Dolphins officially locked up their playoff spot. The Titans, surprising to anyone that doesn't know who Horton is. He's an incredibly talented user. I don't care what roster you give him. I'm pretty surprised to see that Worm missed the playoffs at 10-5. He's in a pretty tough division with Horton there, but I don't know. I don't pay enough attention to the AFC to know who beat who to understand why, but I guess his conference record rules him out at 6-5 maybe. But the AFC is looking like the Raiders, of course, the 1 seed, the Ravens, the 2 seed, surprising absolutely no one. Horton, surprising no one, coming in at the 3. Arlen went on his self-proclaimed revenge tour and just dogfought his way into the playoffs. It's probably I'm going to say one of the most exciting things I saw this cycle was watching him turn it around and make a romp to the playoffs. The only thing that would have overshadowed it would have been if you could have pulled it out with the Eagles and made a romp. So I'm going to give Arlen my most exciting playoff chase there. Pretty surprising to me to see Otto as the 5 seed but at 11-4. The AFC looks real top heavy. 11-4, 11-4 are both wild card spots, and that's insane. 11-4 would have locked up a division in the NFC. So I mean, obviously the AFC still seems to have the chokehold going on. The Jaguars, the Texans, and the Bengals were the ones on the bubble at 10-5 for the Jags, 9-6 for the Bengals, and 8-7 for the Texans. Texans turned it on late. I really thought they might make a run at it, but just too little, too late, I guess, losing so many so early. Pretty much sums up the playoff picture at the moment. You got your shit fixed yet, or are we still?
Hello?
Nope. Yeah, there you go. Well, you sound fine.
I'm still echoing.
Okay, well.
Wonder if I'm feeding back speakers.
Maybe. You want me to turn mine down?
Try that.
How about now?
Hello? Nope.
No? Well, then people just answer you.
What about now? Nope.
Yeah, I'm not hearing it on my end. I mean, it's just you.
Ron said they're here.
All right, well, will you continue to fix that? I'm going to move on here. Ibo here had a pretty good idea. I'm going to disclaimer this with, if you get mentioned or don't get mentioned, please don't get offended by any of this. This is going to be our biggest winners and biggest losers, and it doesn't necessarily have to do with wins and losses on some of it, and some of it does. We just picked who we thought were the biggest winners and losers overall for the cycle. We're going to start with one that was unanimous, and it was the AFC loser, and it was the Colts. I mean, the guy sells away a lot of picks. I mean, 2 first-rounders at least. I don't know what else to get. To bring in offensive linemen that turn around and give up 10 sacks apiece. They win 4 games. I mean, you sell the farm to win now and don't win. You're just your team's just a loser this year, for lack of a better term. And since Ibo's still working on this, I'm going to move to one that's going to surprise a lot of people. And my NFC loser, biggest loser for this year, is the Falcons. Now, before everybody freaks out, and you hear me out, the Falcons went 14-1, and that's, spectacular. They got a great owner, coach, whatever you want to call him. He's a great user, but he made one of the dumbest trades this year, and that was going after Justin Forsett. He tried to trade for LaShawn McCoy and got beat, which is, sucks. But then you go out and you trade for a guy like Justin Forsett, and then you just have one of the worst rushing attacks in the league. Some of Justin Forsett's 4.4 yards per carry average came from sim to win stats of 200 yards. So you take away a sim to win 200-yard game, and Justin Forsett puts up 600 yards rushing, and I think he gave up like a 2nd and a 3rd round pick or something like that. Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, I think he gave like a 2nd or a 3rd round pick and a 3rd round pick for Forsett. And the dude's 29. Like, he's about to hit the age where running backs are worth less than my dirty underwear. So my NFC loser is the Falcons and that stupid Justin Forsett trade. How about you, Ibo? Is your shit fixed? You can go with your loser?
Nope, it's not fixed, but I'm going to still go with it. So the biggest loser on my end to the AFC is folk. Well, I will say NFC the biggest loser. I have not the Detroit. His win to loss ratio is 1-14, but he lost by an average of 7 points a game. I would have to say the New Orleans Saints. They gave away a 2nd-round pick. The owner left. It's nothing against them, but they have not turned it around since. 3-12 and an 0-5 division record. So that's my biggest loser for the NFC.
All right. Well, to give Ibo another break to continue working on this, we're going to move on to our biggest winners. One I want to make honorable mention of here, and is the Rams in the NFC. They're in a pretty tough division. Going to send 2 to the playoffs, and I got to give credit down there in St. Louis. Dealt with a rash of pretty huge injuries. I think Todd Gurley went down for a while. Percy Harvin has been injured twice. Peyton Manning went out for a while. And, I'll give credit where credit's due. To tread water and still come out at 8-8 and have a shot at getting into the playoffs with your number one running back and one of your best receivers and your quarterback all going down, and you still tread water all the way to the end and almost scoot into the playoffs. That's a pretty big win in my book.
Check.
But my NFC winner, personally, is the Eagles. Ibo went. I'm gonna have to look and give you the exact numbers. It wasn't good. He was like 3-6 at one point. I mean, it was bad. Pretty rough, pretty bleak. He traded off Jason Peters. He traded off Nelson Aguilar. He traded off just piece after piece after piece and was hoarding picks. And I thought for sure he was just going to fall to the bottom and scrape the bottom and have just a bunch of huge draft picks. But then he turned around and rattles off 6 and potentially 7 straight wins to, much like the Rams, almost clinch into the playoffs. And that's a pretty impressive feat for me. So my 2 NFC winners are the Rams and the Eagles. Another one I want to mention here is Tampa Bay. Now, everybody knows Coach is incredibly good at this game. I mean, I've played him several times, and he's good. But I definitely thought for sure he would have a struggle season 1 with a weak Tampa Bay roster. But, I mean, you can't keep a good coach down, I guess, because he came out 11-5. So, you just can't say a whole lot. I mean, Coach's play speaks for itself. He's good. He finds a way to win. And so, yeah, Tampa Bay, Philadelphia, and St. Louis are all winners in my book. Ibo, you got time, or are you ready to try again, or you want me to move on to the AFC?
Nope. I'm still. Hold on. Go ahead and go to the MVPs.
Well, I'm going to move on to the AFC winners because I can't leave them out. And it'll come as a shock to absolutely nobody that it's the Raiders and the Ravens. Troy took that Raiders team that had pieces and still seemed like a work in progress, and much like Coach, just turned around and absolutely dominated with them. I really think that as far as the game, the grasp of the controls of the game itself, there's not anybody in hard at work that runs the ball as effectively as Troy, just on sheer knowledge of how to run the ball. I think KJM with the Ravens is pretty close. I think that would have to be my 1 and 2 for the 2 best running users in the league. They both just put up phenomenal numbers. It doesn't matter what running back you put in their hands; they're just gonna dominate. Lake Seastrunk with 1,800 yards, Latavius Murray 1,700 yards. I mean, just crushing running numbers. And anytime you run the ball like that, anytime you can do that, you play keep away. I mean, you just crush it out, and you're going to win games. And both of them took rosters that I didn't think were very good rosters to start and won, 13, 14 games and are going in as playoff, Super Bowl favorite season 1. So that is my AFC winners. So I'm assuming you still don't have shit fixed. So I'm going to move on. And we're going to do something here that the game gives out its own MVP and Offensive Player of the Year and all of that. And I it's sort of stat mongering to certain things, obviously Defensive Player of the Year. seems like the person with the most sacks always wins it. So I'm gonna try to shake it up here, and we're gonna try to pick our own MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, and Defensive Player of the Year. I'm not gonna split them up into NFC and AFC. I'm just gonna pick the MVP of the league, who was most integral to their team. My Offensive Player of the Year is going to be the best offensive player and the best defensive player. I'm not going to do two. So, man, I'm going to have to say my MVP, if I'm picking an MVP, like a guy who is just integral to what their team's success. My MVP is going to have to be Jameis Winston. I don't think, even with the freak of nature that is Balaji Ajala, I don't think the Bucs would be as successful without Jameis Winston. I think Coach having that great rookie quarterback for a second cycle, you can just hang your hat on him, and he answered the call. So that's my MVP. I don't know where the hell Ibo went. Everything's gone dark. I don't know if anybody can still hear me, but I'm going to keep talking anyways. So my Offensive Player of the Year is a pretty tough one, and I'm going to say my Offensive Player of the Year got to be – man, it's so hard to pick. There's so many good offensive players. I'm going to pick Demaryius Thomas. I mean, you put up 14 touchdowns, lead the league in receptions. No, he doesn't lead in receptions. He's receiving yards. So, I mean, pretty good wide receiver, clearly. It could have been any of these offensive players. I mean, Offensive Player of the Year is so subjective. Anybody could argue with me, but I say Demaryius Thomas. If I got to pick, my Defensive Player of the Year is, let's see, I had it written down. I can't find it. Give me just a moment. My Defensive Player of the Year, I'm going to say Eric Berry. He's a safety. The dude had a forced fumble, 47 tackles, 1 sack, and 12 interceptions. Honorable mention to Patrick Peterson for his 11 interceptions. Also, Aqib Talib with 4 forced fumbles is absolutely absurd too. But Eric Berry clearly playing at a level above most. I'm going to pick an AFC and NFC Owner of the Year. Somebody who, and it's just people that make good moves for their team, things like that. And it's hard not to pick the Raiders or the Ravens for Owner of the Year, and I don't think I need to stroke their egos. So my AFC Owner of the Year is Arlen and the Dolphins. He's in a tough division. He was down early, turned it around, turned it on late, went on his revenge tour, clinched the playoffs. Dolphins are the team to beat in the AFC playoffs, and Arlen is my AFC Owner of the Year. Now, in the NFC, my Owner of the Year is a lot tougher because I feel like there were so many good moves in the NFC. But one thing that really stuck out to me, barring one trade that I think was maybe a little ill-advised, I like the Rams as Owner of the Year. I think Ryan did good things, brought in good players. HaWa Clinton Dix, Percy Harvin, he brought in a bunch of young guys to bolster his unit. And HaWa Clinton Dix is just a huge get for him. That's a huge pick, and was one of the smartest trades I think I saw from most people in the cycle. If I'd known he was available, I would have gone after him. And Ryan was aggressive, went after what he needed, and and for the most of the season was in the tops in defense. So, I mean, even now he stands pretty good. I mean, 3rd in the league in passing. He dropped off a little towards the end, but he's got a backloaded schedule. I just think that he made good moves. I mean, Aaron Donald is just dominant. He brought in back end help that they needed. I don't know all of the trades he made, so I'm probably missing some. But that HaHa Clinton Dix trade was just huge. Now Parrish Cox, I'm pretty sure he brought in as well. Could be wrong, but those are my picks. Now, Ibo was supposed to have his own picks, but it's just me in here, and so I'm going to keep moving on down my list. I don't really know what the shit's going on, but we're going to keep going. So let me get a drink here. And